Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded. I'm your host, Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. I have been studying mind mastery and emotional management and its connection to spirituality for over 25 years. In this podcast, I help guide you out of your daily struggles in life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. Life is hard, but your daily growth doesn't have to be. Join me 3 times a week as I lead you inward on a healing, creating, and connecting journey. Let's go get the nugget of inspiration. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I'm finding you with a yearning for learning. If you're not yearning to learn, then it is my intention that in today's episode, I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. Today, we're going to talk about learning. This is my favorite topic. I have a lot of favorite topics, but my favorite foundation is to teach. My other favorite thing to do in the world is to learn. I am a forever student. I'm 50 years old, and I am constantly learning. Every single day, I learn something new. Not as because I'm an entrepreneur, but just because there's always a problem to solve, right? So let me ask you this. Actually, let me just take you back in time for a minute. This was back in the mid-90s. You already heard most of the story, so I'm not going to go into it. It's probably pretty much in every other episode. I talk about this terrible relationship that I was in. And I remember back in that time where all the suffering, it was this big thing on my mind. I was constantly battling this relationship, trying to feel good in this relationship. And it was a uphill struggle in the sand, in the rain, in a thunderstorm, against the snow and the ice. I mean, it was an awful struggle. It was like I was drowning, right? So do you have something that's in your life that's like that? That is this is the thing. If I could solve this one problem, my life would be amazing. And I go, yeah, right then it was my relationship. And I remember drowning, literally feeling like I was so alone in this relationship. I had no one to talk to. I had no friends. And most of my friends were so tired of me complaining about this relationship that they're just I'm out. I'm not listening to you complain about this anymore because you, Jen, are not helping yourself. And I'm like, okay. I get all the way to the edge. I jump off the cliff with no parachute, and I was pretty much happy about that. But you know what? I got all the way to the edge, and I'm like, you know what? Something's got to change. Are you there? Are you in that place where something's got to give? Something's got to change? Give me a freaking break, right? Universe, hey, come on. I deserve it. Okay. This is where the learning comes in. So there was a time in that crappy relationship that I stood back for a second. I paused my life. I used to go on, we would get in fights and I would just get in the car and disappear for as long as I could. And sometimes I would come back in the early morning. I'd be gone all night. I'd leave at 6 o'clock in the evening and I wouldn't come back till 6 o'clock the next day. I would just drive as far as I could drive. And of course, gas was cheaper back then. I had a teeny tiny little car and I could fill up my tank, not kidding, for $7. And I would drive to the Mackinac Bridge. If you don't know where that is, check it out. And I would drive into the UP and I would find these, what I would call hiding places. And I would just pull off by this cornfield and I would get out and I would just sit. I'd have a blanket. I'd have food in my car. I'd hat, gloves, raincoats. I mean, this was my life. I used to just have all this survival stuff in my car, And so I would go and sit outside in this cornfield, in the middle of this cornfield, and I would take the little 2-track trail through the field, and I'd find this spot, and I would just sit there. I'd lay on this blanket with a pillow and eat some crackers and peanut butter and drink some water, and I would just look at the sky. I would just look up at the sky, and I'm like, you know what? I want my life to be different. I want my life to be the very best version that it's going to be. I don't want to stay at level 1, fighting with this stupid relationship, right? I want to level up. I want my life to be amazing. And I remember thinking, there's people out there that have great relationships. And I don't care if I'm gay or not. There's people out there that have great relationships, and I want one too. And it was in this kind of curiosity, this broadened perspective, this self-conversation that I used to have that made me stand back and go, what do I need to do to get that? And I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and I want you to write these 3 questions down. If you are currently suffering, and I know you are, because if you're still watching this, if you're still listening to this, you are currently suffering in one of the 3 key areas: health, wealth, relationships. You hate your job. You don't make enough money. Your health is terrible in whatever way, physical pain, emotional pain, or you're overweight and you just can't move your body, or you don't want to move your body, or whatever. And then the other relationships, they could be relationships with your kids, relationship with your mom, relationships with your mother-in-law or your spouse. Okay, so now here's the 3 questions. I want you to write these down. In the area of your suffering, who do I have to be? How do I have to think? And what do I have to do? These are the most profound questions you can ask yourself. Now, you don't have to know the answers to those questions. Start with curiosity. So back then, I'm in this relationship. I'm getting sick and tired of the breakups. I'm getting sick and tired of the stupid conversations about who she cheated on with me, what's going to happen, hearing all the apologies, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So when this epiphany hit me and I'm like, okay, listen, there's other people who have great relationships and I want one. So the desire was there. That is key. Do you have the desire for whatever the thing is on the other side of the fence? Do you have the desire for change? Do you have the desire to lose weight? Do you have the desire for the body? Do you have the desire for the money, the career, the relationship, the ultimate health? That has to be a resounding capital yes with an exclamation point. If it's a meh, you're not going to do much. Okay. If it's anything less than a yes, then these questions aren't going to matter because you won't do the work. You have to have the vision that creates the magnetism that will pull you towards your future and your future towards you. And that, my friend, is when speed and the energy of the universe takes off like a holy flapping crap. And you're just like, oh my God, like I just lost 30 pounds in 3 months. Holy crap. And I haven't been able to do that in 10 years. I've seen it happen. I've been a part of it. And I want you to think about your suffering. Let me ask you a couple of questions about this. And I want you just to you can answer to yourself or just think about it. How long have you been suffering in this area? How many years? How many months? How long? And are you still trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, but get different results? Now, we all know that Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different. I know that's very frustrating, and we all try to do that. We go against the world. We okay, the whole world moves their body and eats well and they lose weight, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to move my body. I want to continue to eat Twinkies and Pop-Tarts, but I want to lose weight. Okay, and I'm thinking, good luck with that, because not saying that it isn't possible. What I'm saying, though, that is you are going against collective energy, meaning there are way too many pieces of energy going in the direction that eating Twinkies and cupcakes and Pop-Tarts are not going to get you the goal that you want. You're not going to overcome that belief. There's too many people who believe that. The subliminal messages will not be there to support you in that endeavor. So please don't try. Okay. And I know that's very frustrating. I get it. I love Twinkies. Okay. So let's start with one at a time. When I was in that relationship and I wanted nothing more than to be married to my very best friend, a person I could trust, because I couldn't trust in this relationship. There was no trust at all. I'm not even sure why I stayed, really. I don't even know what my real goal was. I'm like, if anybody would have quizzed me, I would have gotten 100% on the quiz. But then they're like, okay, why are you still doing that? That's kind of idiotic. That's idiotic. I had to think of my word. That's idiotic, right? You want something to be different, but you keep going back. And I don't mean to call you an idiot if you are in a relationship like that. It's very, very frustrating. I 1,000% get it. I want you to hear me. I 1,000% get it. But listen to me. There's always a way out, and the way out is in. Go inward, self-love. Listen to my earlier podcast that says, you simply deserve it. Okay, listen to that one. It's a little in your face, but it's because I'm on the other side of the fence, and I want you to know that I got you. It is on the other side of the fence. I do not think that your relationship is different simply because you say so. If you can't trust them, get the frack out. Get out, because it's not going to change. Get out. And that's a big, strong opinion because I've been there. I've done that. And I did years and years of wasting my time trying to make things change. And I want you to have a life. I want you to have the life and the love because you deserve it. And it's out there. It's waiting for you. Trust me. Go inward, create the foundation of self-love. That it pretty much nails my who do I have to become. If I asked myself that question the first time around, dude, this relationship probably would have lasted maybe 4 days, maybe 5. I would have been out of there. All the signs were there, but I didn't trust. So who do I have to be? I have to be someone who listens to their intuition. What is your intuition saying about your life and that area that you're suffering in? Now, let me ask you this. When you go into, that's a pretty big question. Who do I have to be? I want you to stand broad enough away from the problem to go, if someone isn't in a relationship like mine, or isn't in the health crisis that I'm in, or isn't in the financial problem that I'm in, what kind of person are they? What's their character like? So a person who is thin and fit and sexy, what is their character like? And don't go with the like, well, they're a model and they're stuffy and they're obnoxious and they're egotistical. Go with someone who you would actually like, who's got a great personality. What is their character like? And see if there's some changes that you have to make there. What is their relationship like with food? What is their relationship like with themselves? What is their relationship like with money or with their job? Okay. We're going to create this all around avatar. And it's one of my favorite things to do because it really gives you such a perspective on what behaviors that you need to change in order to make something in your life shift. Because I feel like what we end up doing is we spend so much time talking about it and complaining about it that it just continues to perpetuate. It continues to just keep the momentum there of the thing that we hate, but yet here we are still sitting here. I'm a top-notch complainer. I will complain pretty much if anything is uncomfortable, if I'm too hot, too cold, or if I'm tired. You will hear me say, if I'm hungry, I'll say it for every 5 seconds. It's annoying. It's annoying to me too. I'm not sure why it even comes out of my mouth. If you're not a complainer, then I want to emulate you. But when there's a problem in my life and there's suffering that happens, I go right to figuring it out. Who do I have to be to overcome this problem? That expands you as a person too. That expands your thinking, your knowledge, your responsibility to yourself, your responsibility to anybody that's in your life, that you are doing the very best to take care of you. So again, the foundation is self-love. Okay, let's move on to the next one. How do I think? Let's take money. This is a really good one to use for money. It's a really good one to use for any of them, but how do I have to think? So somebody who has money all the time, somebody who's rich or affluent or financially free, their thinking is very different from my thinking. Money comes into my life and I'm like, ooh, what can I go buy? Ooh, I think I need that, whatever that is, right? Because remember, the store's job, their job is to get me to part with my money. And my job is to spend it, I think. So anyway, but you take somebody who is financially free and they have a lot of money and they can buy the new house and the new car and they can invest and they're like being proactive in their financial future. Yeah, that's not me. So how do I have to think? Well, I have to think differently. So when I go into a store, I can't be emotionally impulsive. Oh, I have to think differently. So when I go into a store, I'm not going to be emotional. Oh, okay. Well, what can I be then? I have to be logical with my money. I have to make decisions ahead of time. I have to ask myself questions when I get to the store. What is the thing that I really want? Do I really need this thing? Probably not. What am I going to the store for? If you want to go to the store to just kind of explore and get out and maybe socialize a little bit, leave your wallet in the car. Okay. Now, what do I have to do? These are the action steps. This goes great too. It goes great with all of them, but I like going to health on this one. So let's say I have 50 pounds I want to lose. Who do I have to become? I have to think of things differently. I have to think of myself differently. How many of you in here are emotional eaters? Okay. Where's the learning in that? I have to learn how to manage my emotions. I have to learn how to do something different than eat my emotions. We all do it. It's a terrible habit. And if you're overweight and you're an emotional eater, you already know it's a terrible habit. It's a terrible thing. So who do I have to become? I have to have self-love. I have to have self-control, and I have to manage my emotions in a different way. So there's some of your learning. Okay. How do I have to think? I have to think of myself differently. Because if I have self-love, I'm not going to be drinking beer all the time or drinking high fructose corn syrup soda drinks or Twinkies and Pop-Tarts all day long. I have done enough cleanses in my life to understand how food affects me. And so I manage that easily because I'm like, I don't want to feel like that. I love sugar, but sugar makes me all wiry inside and I have a tendency to feel a little bit more anxious and less grounded. Well, I should probably stop eating it then. But occasionally, do I have some cookie or chocolate or sugary something? Yes, of course. but it's not all consuming. And I also have to learn how to manage my emotions better. So what do? Do I eat my emotions? No, you know what? I'm going to learn some new habits. What do I have to do? Now, I have to learn all of that. Does that sound daunting to you? Probably. And I apologize for that. But if you start becoming a student, if you start creating this yearning for learning, you, my friend, will become confident, empowered, and successful. Confident, empowered, and successful. Those are, and even inspired, because no matter what problem you face, you're knowing that you're only half an article away from learning something new about you. When was the last time you learned something new about yourself? For me, it's like every day. It's every day, every single day. And I'm like, God, there can't be that much depth to me. Is there really? But it's like the more I do, the more I learn, and the more I need to learn, and the more problems I create. But then the more I have to problem solve, and then but it just gives me this sense of empowered, like I am in charge. And I can use the energies of the universe to manipulate my world. I can go from poverty to riches. I can go from a body that's in pain to a body that feels amazing. I can go from a nobody to a somebody. I can go from feeling deflated and hating my life to I've created all this joy in my life. I can go from this terribly unhealthy, distrusting relationship to a relationship where I am married to my best friend. Better than I even could have imagined back then. Your imagination is vital. Imagination and curiosity are vital in this perspective, in moving in a way that creates this success in your life. You can have it. You just have to believe it. And the other is having the desire for change. Do you have the desire to change? And if you have the desire, that's going to propel you. That's like the gas in the car. The other is knowing, has this been done before? Has anybody ever lost weight before? Yes. Have they ever overcome whatever pain in the body? Yes. Have they done it without medication and surgery? Probably. Has anybody ever left a terrible relationship and gotten into this wonderful, beautiful, successful relationship? Yes. Hell yes. That's me. Okay. And if you know that it's possible for somebody else, then the question is it possible for you? And you have to believe that. Because I'm here to tell you, yes, it is possible for you. And I will tell you again, you just have to start with self-care and self-love. And those two go hand in hand. Self-care, you start there, and it creates self-love. And then self-love creates self-care. And they just kind of create this like yin-yang, this perpetual state. If I continue to care for myself, then that means I love myself. And that just gets deeper and deeper. And you think, oh, okay, well, I love myself pretty deep. And then you're like, it just got deeper. Now I'm managing my money. Now I'm managing my body. Now I'm managing my relationship with myself. Now I'm meditating every day. Now I'm eating well every day. Now I've given up smoking and alcohol and pop. I've given up sugar. I've given up wheat. And I'm like, I feel amazing. I feel like I could take on the world. And I feel like I'm going to make these bold choices to create this bold, beautiful life. And I can do it because I deserve it. And I deserve it simply because I say so. And I say so too. I say so for you because you know what? You just have to state it. I freaking deserve it. Not in this egotistical way, just as in this empowering state of space that I deserve success. I deserve happiness, health, love, trust, this amazing life. I deserve passion. I deserve excitement, joy. How are you going to get it? It's up to you. You have to feel like you deserve it. Then you have to put in the effort. And it is going to take a little bit of effort, but I will tell you this. Once you start, the creativity that starts coming up for you, the signs, the synchronicities that start showing up is going to build the confidence for you to keep going. Now, what do I mean? When I first started meditating, And I already told the story 1,000 times. But when I first started meditating, I didn't think I was very successful at it. But once I got better at it, better and better and better, and things started shifting in my life. Like I would meditate for a couple days in a row, and all I'm doing is just going inward and just focusing on my energy inward and just exploring with curiosity. What could possibly happen from this? What could I do? Like what could come of this? I wonder, right? And so I would explore the depths. I would try to listen to my heartbeat, and I would focus on my heartbeat, and I would focus on my heart center, and I would bring my awareness to behind my eyes, and I would just kind of play around in these different spaces. And how long can I focus today before I lose attention? So anyway, so once I started meditating, all of a sudden things started really shifting. I started feeling amazing. Like there were times I would get really anxious, and all of a sudden now, oh, that's weird. In this situation, I would normally get anxious. I'm not anxious today. Huh? That's weird. And I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to keep going. Let's see what else can happen. And then I go to work, and my boss, who's normally a jerk to me, isn't a jerk today. Or I get my favorite parking spot, or I catch more green lights than red, or I avoid an accident, or my dog didn't run away when she got off the leash. Things would start shifting, which I would attribute to my meditation practice. Things that were always happening stopped happening. Like the yucky things that were always happening stopped happening. And the things that were great in my life became better. And so I'm like, I think I'm going to keep going. I think I'm going to keep practicing. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to keep going. And I'm just going to keep being curious. And I'm just going to keep going inward. And I just kept going. And then I landed a job that I applied for. Then I landed a raise that I was asking for. I got a promotion. I got the girl. I got the house. I got the dogs. I got the family. I got the health. It just kept going and going and going. But you don't get there if you don't start. And I'm hoping that you are creating this yearning for learning, and that learning doesn't stop because maybe you hit a dead end. Maybe you joined a group on Facebook and they just weren't delivering on the learning. It's okay. Just keep going. Keep asking the questions. Keep getting into curiosity. And for all's sake, keep the door open for learning something new and for the perspective shifts to start happening. Because as soon as we have a perspective shift, as soon as my eyes open that says, there's other people who have healthy relationships and I want one. It just shifted. That was literally the tail end of our relationship. I got that book. I found that book in the dark recesses of Borders in the self-help section. My life completely turned sideways. Now, did I just jump from this? I had this 4-year relationship. It was awful. It was terrible. It was like the longest 4 years of my life. I got this book and I started standing up for myself. I started creating this foundation of self-love and self-care. And I started gaining this confidence and this empowerment. I'm like, I ain't taking that shit no more. Like I was done. And so I get out of that relationship. I get into another one. Is that relationship perfect? No. But I will tell you this, it lasted only half as long because you still have to put forth the effort and you still have to create the habits, but it was better. I still didn't put up with the crap. And then I got into another relationship that was 10 years long, and it served the purpose of what I needed it to do. It was a listening ear. It was a friendship. It was solid, right? And then things started shifting. And I wanted more, and I wanted excitement, and I wanted energy, and I wanted this bigger, bolder life. And that 10-year relationship ended because she wasn't coming with me. And I know that sounds harsh, and there's more details to it, but this isn't the podcast to put that in. But I think that it was important as we started to grow apart. Like I'm meant for something great. I am meant to help thousands and thousands of women regain their confidence, reclaim their power, and become empowered in life to make choices, to step into the new person they want to be. That is my purpose. And I needed the relationship to support that. And she was against it. There were conversations that we had that just were preventing her from believing the things that I was believing and teaching, and the gap just got bigger. And I tried to stifle it. I just couldn't. The flame was lit. I was ready to go. And this is where I'm at. And right now, I haven't reached thousands yet, but that's my goal. Thousands of women to step into their power, to tell the boss to shove off because they're going to go start their business, to tell their relationships to shove off because they're done dealing with distrust. And they want respect, and they want love, and they want happiness, and they want money, and they want the business. They want the best friend as their spouse. They're done dealing with being treated poorly, and they're going to step into their life, and they're going to become that which they can feel, that greater part of themselves, that bigger part. That's what I'm helping you to grab, is that greater part of you. You just have to be open to it. And if you've listened to this whole podcast, you're open. That's it. That's it. That's all I have to say. Who do you have to become? How do you have to think? And what do you have to do? Step into the new you. If you enjoyed this show, please consider making a small donation. This helps me to continue creating powerful episodes for you each week, but also you become a bigger part of changing the world by changing yourself one episode at a time. By investing in my show, you are investing in yourself, your life, and your planet. And by elevating yourself, you are elevating others around you. And I thank you.